number three does nothing for young women, but it makes a mature woman fall completely silent. Stick around because touch number 17 is the divan nobody talks about, and it's the divan she'll never forget. Touch number one is the hand on the lower back, and here's why it hits different with a mature woman than it does with someone younger. She's not new to dating. She's felt 100 hands on her lower back over the years, and most of them felt like nothing, like a guy just steering her to a doorway. But when a man places his hand there with just a little more presence, a little more intention, not gripping, not pushing, just resting there like he means it. Her body registers something her mind hasn't caught up to yet. It's not about the pressure, it's about the confidence behind it. A hesitant touch feels like a question. A grounded touch feels like a statement. And mature women have learned to tell the difference and have a second flag. Touch number two is brushing her hair back from her face, and this one works because it's enough only someone truly comfortable with intimacy would do. Think about it. When's the last time a stranger touched your face? It doesn't happen. So when a man reaches up and moves a strand of hair away from her eyes, it breaks a barrier that almost nothing else can break that fast. It says, I'm close enough to you that this feels natural, even if you've only known each other a few weeks. For a mature woman who's dealt with men too scared to make a real move, this small gesture is as quiet confidence, and quiet confidence is exactly what pulls her in deeper than any grand gesture ever could. Touch number three is resting your hand on her knee while you're both sitting and talking. And the reason this works so well is because it's not sexual, it's connective. A lot of men don't estimate to touches that feel like a move, and mature women collect that instantly because they've seen it 1,000 times. But a hand on the knee during a real conversation, especially when she's talking about something that matters to her, tells her body that you're present with her, not performing for her. It creates a sort of physical anchor to the emotional moment you're sharing, and her nervous system starts associating your touch with safety instead of pressure, which is the exact opposite of what most men accidentally create. Touch number 4 is this slow hug that lasts 3 seconds longer than expected. And this one works because of something called oxytocin release, which happens the longer physical contact is sustained. Most hugs are quick, almost robotic, in and out in 1 second. But when you hold the hug just a bit longer, not too long, just enough that she notices that her body starts producing the same chemical that gets released during moments of deep bonding. She may not consciously register why the hug felt different, but her body will remember remember it, and she'll find herself wanting that feeling again, which means wanting to be around you again. Touch number 5 is placing your hand over hers on the table, and the power in this move comes from its simplicity. It's not grabby, it's not intense, it's just there, warm and steady, like you're not trying to control the moment, you're just choosing to be close in it. A lot of men either avoid touch entirely out of fear of overstepping, or they go too far too fast. This touch lives right in the middle, and mature women who've usually dealt with both extremes recognize this kind of calibrated confidence immediately. It tells her you know how to read a room, and knowing how to read a room is one of the most attractive qualities a man can have. If these phrases are already heading different for you, hit that like button right now and drop 2 green hearts in the comments to support the channel. It genuinely helps more than you think. Touch number 6 is a light touch on the arm while she is laughing at something you said, and this timing matters more than people realize. Laughter already puts the body in a relaxed, open state. Dopamine is flowing, guard is down. If you touch her arm in that exact window, her brain links the good feeling from the laugh with the physical sensation of your hand, almost like stacking 2 pleasant experiences on top of each other. This is one of the fastest ways to build positive association without saying a single romantic word. And it works especially well on women who build walls up because it stops past logical defenses entirely. Touch number 7 is walking with your hand on the small of her back, but only when guiding her through a crowd or a doorway, because context changes everything here. This isn't a random touch, it's a protective one, and mature women pick up on protective touch in a completely different way than casual touch. It taps into something ancient in the brain, the feeling of being looked after without being controlled. She's not thinking about it consciously, but somewhere underneath, her nervous system is registering this man is aware of me even in a crowded room, and that awareness reads as care, and care is what mature women are actually starving for. Touch number 8 is holding eye contact for 2 extra seconds while your hand is on hers, and this combination is more powerful than either touch or eye contact alone. Most people break eye contact almost instantly because sustained eye contact feels vulnerable. It triggers a small spike of adrenaline, but when you pair that vulnerability with the steadiness of physical touch, it creates an intense, almost a dazing moment of connection. Mature women who've been in long relationships know exactly what deep eye contact feels like, and when a man is willing to hold it instead of looking away nervously, it immediately separates him from the man who can't handle real intimacy. Touch number 9 is a gentle squeeze of the hand during a serious conversation, not a romantic one, but something like her ranting about her day or a problem she is dealing with. This touch says, I'm here without you having to interrupt her to say the words out loud. A lot of men try fix the problems with advice when what's actually needed is presence, and a small hand squeeze at the right moment communicates that presence instantly. Mature women, especially ones who've been with men who talked over their feelings instead of sitting with them, notice there's a kind of silent support immediately, and it builds trust faster than almost anything you could say. Touch number 10 is playing with her fingers absent-mindedly while you're both watching something or sitting quietly together. And this one works because of what psychologists call comfortable silence, moments where touch fills the space instead of words. It signals that you don't need constant conversation to feel connected, which is incredibly rare and incredibly attractive to a woman who's dealt with relationships that felt like performances. This kind of touch says you're relaxed enough around her to just exist together, and that relaxed presence is often what makes a woman feel truly at home with someone. Which one of these 22 phrases have you already used without even knowing it with rewiring her attraction? Touch number 11 is a hand on her cheek right before or after a kiss, and this touch amplifies whatever emotional moment is already happening. It's intimate without being aggressive, and it forces a kind of eye contact that a regular kiss alone doesn't create. Mature women often say this is the touch that makes a kiss feel meaningful instead of routine, because it slows the moment down and makes it feel deliberate rather than rushed. When a man takes the time to cup her face gently, a signal that he's not in a hurry. He is actually present in that specific second with her, and presence is what separates memorable moments from forgettable ones. Touch number 12 is tracing small circles on her back while hugging or sitting close, and this repetitive general motion actually triggers a calming response in the nervous system similar to what's used in stress relief techniques. It's subtle, almost unconscious, but her body relaxes into it without her fully realizing why. This is one of those touches that builds a trust on a biological level rather than a conscious one, meaning she doesn't have to sing her way into feeling safe with you. Her body just starts feeling it, and that kind of trust tends to run deeper than trust built through words alone. Touch number 13 is a fair handshake or handhold when you first greet her, longer and warmer than a typical greeting touch, because first contact sets the tone for everything that follows. Mature women, especially those who dated a lot can sense hesitation or nervousness in a first touch immediately, and it colors how they perceive you for the rest of the interaction. A confident, warm first touch says, I'm comfortable being close to you right from the start, which removes a layer of awkwardness that usually takes much longer to dissolve, and starting from a place of ease instead of tension change the entire trajectory of the connection. Touch number 14 is resting your forehead against hers for a few seconds. No words, no movement, just stillness, and this touch works because it removes almost every usual layer of interaction. No talking, no performing, just two people existing close together. This kind of stillness can feel more intimate than a kiss because there's nowhere to hide and no distraction to lean on. Mature women often describe this as one of the most disarming touches a man can initiate because it requires real emotional confidence, and that confidence is exactly what makes her feel like she's with someone secure rather than someone strained to prove something. Touch number 15 is a hand on her thigh while driving somewhere together. Casual, resting, not moving. And the reason this works is because it turns ordinary time like a car ride into something that feels connected instead of just functional. A lot of relationships lose touch literally during the mundane parts of life, errands, driving, waiting around. When a man keeps a physical connection alive, even during these low-key moments, it tells her the relationship isn't just about big romantic gestures. It's woven into everyday life, and that consistency is often what makes women feel secure long-term rather than just excited short-term. Which one of these 15 touches have you already been doing wrong without even realizing it? Touch number 16 is generally tucking a blanket around her or adjusting her jacket collar. Small caretaking touches that aren't about romance directly, but about attentiveness. These touches matter because they show you're paying attention to her comfort without her having to ask for it. Mature women who've spent years managing everything themselves, work, family, other people's needs, respond strongly to a man who notices small things and acts on them physically instead of just saying, let me know if you need anything. There's a kind of touch proves attentiveness rather than just claiming it, and proof always lands harder than promises. Touch number 17 is a lingering hand on her shoulder while she is telling a story, especially an emotional one, because it keeps her anchored to the present moment while she is processing something that might otherwise make her feel alone. A lot of people, when they open up emotionally, unconsciously brace up for the other person to disengage or get uncomfortable. A steady hand on the shoulder does the opposite. It says, I'm still right here with you. And that steady presence in vulnerable moments is often what makes women feel like they can fully open up without fear of scaring someone off. Touch number 18 is a playful nudge or bump, shoulder to shoulder, elbow to elbow during a light-hearted moment, because touch doesn't always need to be serious to be powerful. This kind of touch keeps things fun and grounded at the same time. It says I'm comfortable enough with you to be silly, which is something a lot of mature women crave after dating men who take themselves too seriously all the time. Playful touch lowers guards fast because it removes pressure. There's no expectation attached to it, and paradoxically, that lack of pressure is often what makes the emotional walls come down the quickest. Touch number 19 is holding both her hands while facing each other. No walking, no distraction, just standing there connected. And this touch works because it removes escape routes physically and emotionally. It's small but immense form of vulnerability. You're both just there, present, nothing is happening. Mature women often say moments like this feel more significant than words like I love you, because actions like this require you to actually be present instead of just say something and moving on. And presence is consistently this thing women say they want most and get the least. Touch number 20 is a slow kiss on the forehead and not the lips. The forehead, because this touch communicates something different than romantic touch. It communicates protection and tenderness rather than desire. A lot of men escape this touch entirely because it feels less impressive, but mature women often respond to it more strongly than almost any other gesture, because it feels like being cherished rather than just being wanted. Being wanted is common. Being cherished is rare, and rare is what actually creates a deep, lasting emotional attachment instead of temporary excitement. Touch number 21 is keeping physical contact, a hand, a leg, an arm while falling asleep next to her, because this is the touch that happens when neither of you are performing, where you're both just unconsciously choosing closeness. There's a kind of touch builds a different, a deeper kind of trust, because it happens in the most unguarded state a person can be in. Mature women often say this is when they feel the most secure in a relationship, not during dates or big moments, but in these quiet, half-asleep moments where touch happens automatically instead of intentionally, because automatic closeness is the truest sign that connection has become real. Touch number 22 is reaching for her hand in public without hesitation, not sneaking it, not doing it quietly, just doing it naturally, like it's the most normal thing in the world, because this touch says something bigger than affection. It says pride. It tells her and everyone around that you're not just comfortable with her privately, you're comfortable being seen with her too. A lot of women, especially mature ones, whose dealt with men who kept things hidden or hesitant, respond immensely to this kind of open, unhesitant touch, because it removes any doubt about where they stand, and removing doubt is often what turns attraction into something that actually lasts. If you want to learn about naked thoughts, clothes, silence, watch these 8 signs. They're understanding you and their mind. These are random touches, they're the exact physical cues that target deep attraction and trust in a mature woman's brain, often without her even realizing why. From a simple hand on the knee to the one touch she'll never forget. This video breaks down all 22 of them. Stick around because touch number 17 is the one almost no one ever uses. I'll see you in the next video.